the Buddhist Temple of Toledo. Please be seated comfortably and turn to page 2 in the liturgy book. Gata of atonement, all evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all. Evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all. Evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all. Kaya 3 refuges, Buddham Sarnam Gacchami, Buddham Sarnam Gacchami, Dhammam Sarnam Gacchami, Dhammam Sarnam Gacchami, Sangham Sarnam Gacchami, Sangham Sarnam Gacchami. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. The 5 remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. Mahayana Refuge. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. Invocation of the lineage. I give thanks for the guidance of my teachers, for the lineage of teachers before them. I give thanks and offerings for their devoted practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom, skillful means, unshakable vow, spiritual powers, and awakened awareness for my benefit. May their years of life be lengthened, and may their vows be completely realized. 7 practices of the Bodhisattva. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. I offer the best I have to give, both real and imagined, to fill the space between us. I regret and purify all transgressions. I rejoice in all virtues. I request you to remain until total enlightenment. I request wise and compassionate guidance. I dedicate my merit for the sake of all beings. Generating love and compassion. May all sentient beings be free from clinging and hatred, being close to some and distant from others. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from clinging and hatred. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them happiness and the causes of happiness. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings have the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from clinging, hatred, jealousy, miserliness, doubt, pride, wrong view, ignorance, and dualistic thoughts. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them to this state. Bless me to accomplish this. Our reading today is on page 19 in the spiral-bound notebook. And this is part 2 of the Heart of True Entrusting. For the unified mind in accord with the way, all ego-centered strivings cease. Doubts and irresolutions no longer apply, and a life in true entrusting is possible. With a single stroke, we are freed from bondage. Nothing clings to us, and we hold to nothing. All is empty, clear, self-illuminating, with no exertion of the mind's power. Here, thought, feeling, knowledge, and the imagination are of no value. In this world of suchness, there is neither self nor other than self. To come directly into harmony with this reality, when doubts arise, immediately affirm, not to. In this not to, all is the same. Nothing is separate, nothing is excluded. No matter when or where, awakening means entering this truth, and this truth is beyond time or space. One mind moment is 10,000 years. Not only here, not only there, the infinite universe stands always before your eyes, infinitely large and infinitely small. No difference, for definitions have vanished, and no boundaries are seen. So too with being and non-being. Don't waste time in doubts and arguments. One thing, all things. Move among and intermingle without distinction. To live in this true entrusting is to be without anxiety about non-perfection. And living in this true entrusting is the road to non-duality, because the non-dual is one with the entrusting mind. Words, the way is beyond language. In it there is no yesterday, no tomorrow, no today. And please stand for the Heart Sutra on page 4 in the first book that we were working from. Great Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form, form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form, sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness are also like this. Shariputra, all things are essentially empty, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without loss, without gain. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought, no seeing, and so on, to no thinking, no ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance, and so on, to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death, no suffering, cause of suffering, cessation, path, no wisdom, and no attainment, since there is nothing to attain. Bodhisattva lives by prajna paramita, with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, and therefore no fear, far beyond elusive thinking. Right here is nirvana. Buddhas of past, present, and future live by prajna paramita, attaining anuttara samyak sambodhi. Therefore know that prajna paramita is the great sacred mantra, the great vivid mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not mere formality. Therefore set forth the prajna paramita mantra. Set forth this mantra and proclaim: Gate, gate, para, gate, parasam, gate, bodhi, svaha, gate, gate, para, gate, parasam, gate, bodhi, svaha, gate, gate, para, gate, parasam, gate, bodhi, svaha. Buddha nature pervades the whole universe, existing right here now. The wind blows, waves fall on the shore, and Guanyin finds us in the dark and broken roads. We give thanks to all the ancestors of meditation in the still halls, the unknown ones, centuries of enlightened ones, clouds and wind and thunderstorms. Let wisdom go to every corner of the house. Let people have joy and others joy. We especially dedicate these merits to Eric and his family at the time of his death, Sharon and family, Karen, Mickey, Clarine, and Joan Marie, those whose names we hold in the silence of our hearts, as well as those whose names we now voice aloud. May we live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma, and may we realize the Buddha way together. Om. Please prepare for zazen. For walking meditation. Odd rows turn to the right, even rows turn to the left, follow the person in front of you. You can find the Sangha Covenant on the laminated card under your cushion. We, the Daishin Kokoji Sangha, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the wisdom and compassion we seek to cultivate by practice, and with deep gratitude for the teachers of this lineage and our connection to one another, covenant to support each other by upholding the precepts of doing no harm, practicing good, and actualizing good for others. Please be seated for today's talk. You sit comfortably and so that you're able to see the teacher. Gata on opening the sutra. The Dharma incomparably profound and infinitely subtle is rarely encountered even in millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. It's amazing how the seasons come and go, is it not? Dawn and I were out in the back of the Abbey talking, and suddenly we both kind of recognized that leaves were actually beginning to do the thing in earnest, which isn't immediately apparent from this view, but it is happening. And it's always a miraculous thing to me, that first autumnal moment, you know. Summer is still fighting back, but winter looms, and here we are in this delicious and wonderful thing we call change. We read today from the Faith Mind poem, and it speaks largely in the key of wisdom. It speaks to us and gives us guidance in the non-dual and understanding it and working with it. For the unified mind in accord with the way, all ego-centered striving ceases. Sounds pretty nice. All ego-centered strivings cease. Now you can take this line as, you can read this and feel this in many ways, but I particularly encourage you to take it as a guideline to your seated meditation practice. If you're sitting there striving, trying to do it, whatever it is, there's a different way. There's a much more gentle and much more fierce way that has nothing to do with your personal egoic striving. I fear that meditation has somewhat been co-opted by the self-improvement world and becomes yet another project to improve oneself, and you must strive to be 11.35% happier. Better than last week, right? Next week, 12% happier, or else you're not doing it right. So although some of those distinctions may be useful for some, we here are fortunate enough to have encountered the whole thing, not just a little Reader Digest summary, however ill-informed. So, for the real attainment of the real thing, you must realize that when you sit and take up the seat of practice, watch how you're relating to what's happening. Watch very carefully and very closely. What is your body doing? What is your mind doing? Where is your heart, dear one? And what you will find is that the basic feeling tone of your zazen is actually pretty much the same as the basic feeling tone of your day. Except now, hopefully, the external pushes and pulls and dramas and wonders are set to the side. And so this basic feeling tone can be perceived directly, hopefully. Now, it's true, your mind can spin many dramas while you sit there. You can relive catastrophe, you can project wonderment on the person sitting next to you, you can wonder how lunch is going to work out. I mean, there's all kinds of things that the mind can do. But really, don't be fooled. Do not be fooled. Do not play with the content. To use a modern analogy, I suppose, don't be fooled by the content. Start to notice the platform, right? Don't just be pulled in by the shiny thing as you scroll and scroll and scroll. That's the reason why we made that, is because it reflects us. The mind will shimmer in attraction and quake in terror and delight in the whole damn thing. Scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Without a phone, just you sitting there looking for all the world like a Buddha. Scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. That's egoic striving. The mind may continue to flip images, but don't play with them. Notice what you're noticing. Suddenly become aware. You're staring at illuminated pixels on your phone. It's not actually a cat doing something cute. Back up a second. Notice what's actually happening. Doubts and irresolutions no longer apply. And a life of true entrusting is possible. This life of true entrusting, this is a wonderful pointing phrase, a wonderful pointing out instruction. What is a life of true entrusting? Really trusting yourself. Are you still noble and worthy when the mind of your app mind scrolls to some terrible image or some captivating image? Or, dear one, are you really beyond the game? Because if you're going to wield it well, you have to be free of it. With a single stroke, we are freed from bondage. As soon as you realize that you're getting yanked around and you can see it and acknowledge it and let it go, in that instant, something is radically different in the way that you perceive yourself and the way that you perceive the universe around you. Nothing clings, and we hold to nothing because the illusion that you can is gone. In truth, you can hold nothing. You just forget about that sometimes and try anyway. All is empty, clear, and self-illuminating, with no exertion of the mind's power. And this is a very important point. This again gets to this ego striving. It's not about you doing it and you making it happen. You know, drop and give me 100 push-ups, make it happen. It's not like that, thankfully. Although that's probably a nice thing to be able to do. But your sitting is fundamentally not like this. I mean, maybe some of us could do with a few push-ups. That's fine. But your zazen, it's not like this. It's a complete opening the hand of thought. And really, it doesn't matter if you're doing concentration work with the breath and the one point, you need that. You need to develop that relationship with the hara and the one point for real. Your body has got to connect to itself. You have to connect your body. You can see it. When someone's doing kinhin and the body is not connected to the one point, it's quite visible. And when someone is making kinhin practice and the body is connected to itself, that also is quite visible, once you know what these things look like. And it doesn't have to do with arthritis in the knee or a spine that's a little curvy or that's not it. It's your energetic expression. Is it not possible to be walking in kinhin and still be scrolling through your mind's app? Right? Like, yeah, you can do that. Actually, you're a virtuoso of that. How do you turn the app off and just walk? When the mind becomes concentrated enough, the experience of walking itself is perceived as miraculous. It includes the entire cosmos. Anything that James Webb telescope, which I'm such a fan of, gets a glimpse of and shares with us is not separate from your kinhin. Now, realizing that, it's up to you. Here, thought, feeling, knowledge, and imagination are of no value. What? Those sound like really good things. What's wrong with those things? I like those things. Thought, I like thinking. It's worked out at times. Feelings, I finally got in touch with them. Is that bad? I worked so hard to be able to feel something. Knowledge, I'm into knowledge. I like it a lot. Imagination, please. Creativity, please. So here, This is where it can be very easy to misunderstand these teachings. This is where it's very dangerous, this relentless drive that I don't know what it is, if it's the marketplace or human nature, I can't say, but this relentless drive to make everything shallow and to make everything soundbitey, brandable. A lot of times it's fine, but not in things of depth. If a marriage is going to be a true marriage in the fullest and healthiest sense of the term, it is not a soundbite. Your life is not a soundbite. And so when we read these teachings, it says very clearly, in this world of suchness, there is neither self nor other than self. Now, how do you hear those words? See, does it mean that, that's the true world? That's where we should all get to and we should stay. There's the happy place. The goal is to arrive at a place where no thoughts, feelings, knowledge, or imagination are of any value and just stay there? No, not at all. What kind of a sad life would that be? So why is it being said? It's very interesting. Before the Buddha, there were many, many different teachers, and there continue to be many teachers. And he studied with the top guns of his day. He did what a lot of us do, start researching. And interestingly, encountering this world of suchness is not something that's unique to Buddhism. He didn't create it. It's there. As I often say, it's like gravity. But it's not enough. It's necessary, but it is not sufficient. You must give yourself the gift of actually learning and experiencing that world, this world of suchness. It's real. It's not a myth or a fairy tale. It's not for other people. But the point of it in Buddha's teaching is not to simply make a cave and live there. We call this Zen sickness if you do that. And it's one of the job descriptions of a Zen teacher to be keenly aware if students are starting to hide in this world of suchness, to shake them out of it. Don't get stuck. I suppose, in a way, it's a bit of the classic hero's journey. You must go through this rite, this experience where you literally drop off everything. Not just the stuff you want to drop off, all of it. The stuff you love, the stuff you're proud of, the stuff you cling to, all of it. Not that that's an endpoint, but this becomes a background against which we reemerge into the world of this and that. But we can actually see it as it truly is now, because it's in contrast to something. Then it turns out you can actually use the app quite nicely. And you can curate what you do there, and it can be a life-giving and actually a nice thing. There's nothing wrong with your mind. It's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with thinking. It's, are you wielding the thoughts, or are the thoughts wielding you? It's a very different life. It's a very different experience. So this is why we say in Zen training, there's ascending the mountain training and there's descending the mountain training. There's lots of ways to say this. That's one of them. And this business of ascending the mountain, it's a real thing. But you don't stop there. And it's kind of an apt analogy, you know, if you're here and you look around, it's like there's people here and people there, and there's green and there's brown. And if you have a drone, you know, and it kind of flies up. Shishin had a drone for a while. He did a cool thing when this was being constructed. He had his little drone and kind of went up and took an image, you know. And the higher he went, the more things kind of got homogenized, you know. And you can imagine to an early ancestor of ours some thousands of years ago, going up on the mountain and looking out, suddenly things look quite unified. Very different from when you're on the ground. And of course now we can even go higher, right? How many people here have ever been in a plane, right? Most, if not all. I mean, so you look out the window, it's like, wow, clouds from the other side. Is this not amazing? Like I'm literally in a chair, zooming over the clouds right now, having a taste. This is really amazing. And it all looks so peaceful out there, doesn't it? Oh, look. Oh, a city. Look at the pretty lights over there. I think that must be Chicago. Hi. But we can go higher than that, you know. We've actually gotten out of the atmosphere. We've been able to turn around and look back at our planet and say, damn, how about that? And the picture that was particularly important to me when I was young was Carl Sagan's pale blue dot. Can I see a show if you know what that is? I mean, that's the Voyager, you know, was sent out, and Carl, God love him, you know, ironically, he asked it to turn and take an image of the Earth before it, and it did. The thing turned around and snapped a pic and sent it. And you can see, if you've never seen this, give yourself the opportunity, you know, pale blue dot. There's the Earth for all the world, looking like a speck of blue dust in a beam of light, sitting in a many. Almost like when I was a kid, you know, I'd be under the pool with my snorkel, which I love to do. The kids are all playing volleyball. I'm at the bottom with my snorkel and my mask. That was my jam. And I could see the sunlight coming in little flecks of stuff. It's like that. So when you sit and you get into this experience of suchness, it's not because you're making huge effort to do so, but very gradually, sometimes very suddenly, you perceive the operating system. And in that space, it's really nice. I can see why people would hang out there and make a nest, but it's not acceptable. Because as peaceful as the blue dot appears from that great distance, even further distance where it just goes, it's gone. Suffering is still happening. And that suffering is real. So the bodhisattva hears and perceives that suffering, even if they themselves, in that moment at least, are free of it. And they say, wait a minute. And they come back down the mountain. Or in our analogy, you come back to the planet. And when you get closer and closer and closer, it starts to smell. And you start to hear the traffic and the sirens and the arguments and also the cries of the newborn baby and the delights of the young kids coming onto campus. I mean, the whole thing is happening. But you don't forget the pale blue dot perspective. It's still there. There's a kind of a three-dimensional perspective now. So in a very real way, you're not fooled. It'd be as though you could scroll through the app and be completely aware of what you're doing while you do it and use it well. Goes on, to live in this true and trusting is to be without anxiety about non-perfection. There's so much richness in this text, but I would like to emphasize that line. When you're just down on the ground and you see this and that and yes and no and oh my God and thank God and everything in between, we're very tethered. When we understand experientially this true non-dual nature, then it is very possible to live in this world that needs so much work, and there's so much to celebrate in it, and a good deal that's meh. But to be in the midst of the whole thing without anxiety about non-perfection. And just consider how much of your anxiety is stressing about what you perceive to be non-perfection in your body, my non-perfect arthritic knees, my non-perfect scar back here from my thing I had, my aging body, no longer the Adonine 22-year-old that I probably never really was. Or am I saying the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Am I being the right person? Am I meeting this moment? Am I missing this moment? Am I doing it right? Am I screwing it all up? I mean, if you want to really try something, just notice when you're feeling these kind of crushing lack of oxygen in the room of your soul, what are you actually focusing on? That's how you suck. It's how the world sucks. It's how this isn't right, or they aren't right, or I'm not right. Do you understand? And if you just notice that and go, wait, I'm doing that thing again. Here's non-perfection as I see it. Guess what? You don't have to ramp up anxiety when you encounter that. You really don't. What is this perfection you speak of anyway? And are you not already it? I tell you, you do not need to add a single thing, and you do not need to subtract anything. Exactly as you are right now, perfect and complete, lacking not a damn thing. Like for real. I encourage us all to make good friends with non-perfection. I can remember times in my training as a musician where my sensitivity to the non-perfection of my art was crushing. I could barely get myself to go near the instrument at times because I could perceive in such stark relief what I considered to be the non-perfection of my music. It was jazz that taught me to just quit caring so much and to just enjoy. Just play, man. Just play. And not only just play without caring, but actually use the ingredients as they show up. I mean, a year ago, I had no idea that my primary body practice would turn into physical therapy for arthritic knees. If that was on a menu, I would never select it. Thanks, no, I'm doing cool stuff. I'm doing Qigong and Aikido and sword play and all these wonderful things. But actually, it's wonderful. What is this atrocious TheraBand torment device that I have to put around my legs and How interesting. Who knew I was that weak this way? Isn't that interesting? How our city has become in some ways decrepit. Wow, what happened here? Have you driven downtown? What happened? And interestingly, what's happening? Look, there's little seeds sprouting again. There's life coming back to the city. Isn't this interesting? You can go down there and see everything wrong, of course, but see the perfection. And then roll up what sleeves you have and engage. All the while being good friends with this unified mind, with this freedom from ego striving, and this business about living in true entrusting, free from anxiety about non-perfection. The way is beyond language. Nobody, no matter how charismatic or how articulate, can explain it to you in anything close to sufficiency. It's not possible, because it still shows up as a thing you're scrolling through. You have to see it for yourself, and then you have to let go of it. Look around your world, see what needs doing, see what you can do, acknowledge what you're willing to do, and then jump in. May it be so.
Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Thank you all for coming today. Are there any announcements? I know I have one. The first is, if you are a member of the temple, we will be holding a visioning session on Saturday, September 24th, and would love for as many members to come as possible. This will be a time when, first of all, it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot louder than it was today. We're going to join in a lot of small group conversations to envision what the next 50 plus years of the temple looks like now that we have this gorgeous building. What's next on the docket. So please, please make an effort to be here on that day so that we can all generate those ideas in a very open way together. Any other announcements?
So Ango starts next Sunday, so at the beginning of our 90-day period of intense practice. So a high ceremony, so please come. A new scroll will be unfolded, and a new enso, and you put your name on it and ring the bell. The first shushin, and get your thread. The first shushin of Ango is next week, starting Thursday night. If I believe registration is still open. If you have any questions, just see me later. Am I wrong, Kaishin? Is it 2 weeks? It's soon. It's on the Facebook page. It's not next weekend? Okay, it's the weekend after that. Any other announcements from people who are more competent than I? No?
Restore the sendo, please.